So these are the Nike Alphafly 3s, and I personally skipped the generation. I got the first pair of Alphaflys, so I'm very curious to know what these are going to be like. I heard mixed things about Alphafly 2, so I feel as if this is going to embody all the feedback from Gen 1 and Gen 2. I think there's 2 colours, maybe 3, but this for me was the nicest one. I think there was a pink version, and that might be nice actually, but I like it. Classic dad comment, why did you get white? They're going to get dirty. But first impressions are they look like their price tag. I feel as if I'm going to be bouncing down the road in these. So before I give obviously any feedback whatsoever, let's go for a run. Today is 16 kilometers. Let's see how we get on. First impressions, I've got them on my feet. Very, very easy to put on. And I say that because the Alphafly ones were very tight and rigid. Not necessarily a negative because your foot did feel secure, but these are very easy to get on your feet. They obviously feel very spongy. I'm not doing a fast run today. I kind of wish I was. I've got one on Sunday though. But yeah, first impressions are very positive. Okay, so I've just boxed off 2 kilometers. Wow, they feel very quick. First kilometer was 3:52, second was 3:45. This is meant to be a slow run. Trained legs yesterday as well. So we're 7k in, fairly easy sub 20 for the first 5k. And yeah, the shoes just naturally, as you'd assume, they have that bounce. They have that energy return, you do feel it. So yeah. I mean, you're paying this much money, you'd hope so, right? It is 3 weeks later and I have some thoughts on both of these shoes. So to recap, I've had this shoe now for a couple of years. I've done just shy of 600 kilometers in them, so I was due a new pair. I literally got the reminder on Strava to say, maybe it's time to upgrade. I didn't need any more of an incentive. So this is where these come in. I've got the New York City Marathon in 8 days' time. This is the shoe that's gonna get me over the line. But being completely honest with you guys, I wasn't planning on getting this shoe. The Alphafly one, I love. And I tried to buy it again. However, this shoe is incredibly popular within the running community. It's regarded as one of the best, at least carbon fiber shoes that you can purchase. And I just couldn't get hold of one. It was either on like a third-party website or it would have to be imported from the US. There was quite a lot of logistics involved. So I just got what was available, and that's where these come in. So I've got some thoughts, I'm gonna break this down. Let's get into it. So starting with design, this is a short and sweet topic. They look lovely, let's be honest. I'm convinced a third of this price tag is just the design itself. It is very pleasing on the eye. You're gonna look great on race day. What I do like in particular is that it is slightly lighter than previous generations, at least to my understanding, the original Alphaflys. Will you practically feel that? I don't think so. But the intricacy of the laces and the ruggedness of the laces I find are very, very comfortable, and I only do a single knot. Works perfectly fine. They've never come undone. But just the fact that it's more unified, the foam that goes all the way along the bottom, the base of it as well. If you compare it to the previous or Gen 1, it was a little bit more separated. It feels and looks a little bit bulkier, whereas the Gen 3 is just more unified and streamlined. So I really like the design on the whole. This here is a pleasure to run in. It truly is. But there are a few things that I found a little bit frustrating, which the Alphafly 3 I find rectifies. The first thing is going to be the midsole. The midsole on this shoe is more unified and it's not separated into 2 sections as it is on the Alphafly 1. Now, is it a massive difference? Not really, but what I do notice is that it is slightly wider, the midsole, and so it does support those slightly wider feet. For me personally, I did have a few blisters, certainly at the beginning of wearing this shoe, and that was just very, very irritating. And it did take me a while, almost a bit of a prolonged teething process, wearing myself into this shoe as it has been for this. So if you suffer with narrow midsoles on your shoes, this may be a lovely bit of alleviation. The second thing is the foam on the heel. Now, doesn't look anything special, so to speak, but it's fair to say it's definitely supportive. I find that there's a little bit more cushion in the Achilles area of this shoe. And so two things, not only is it more comfortable, and this is coming from a guy who had Achilles tendinopathy last year, would not recommend, but it also adds to the propulsion I find of the shoe. A side note that I do want to highlight as well is the laces. I just do single knots, and these laces work perfectly. I know some people at the start line have a habit of doing like a quadruple knot in case they come undone. It honestly doesn't even cross my mind. Single knot, perfectly fine with these shoes. The last thing, the tongue. So this tongue here, very similar to that of the Alphafly 1, but it has more give. I had a lot of difficulty getting my foot in this shoe, as silly as that sounds. The upper mesh was just very tight. When you were wearing it, it felt fine, but this is way easier to get on. So I would say the midsole, the Achilles, and the upper mesh, big thumbs up. So performance-wise, because let's be honest, that's why you're buying this shoe, if not for the aesthetics. It does what it says on the tin. When I think of Nike as a whole in terms of running, I think of speed. I don't think of stability. When it comes down to numbers, this shoe is going to deliver. I competitively can average around 4 minutes per kilometer. When I went on the run the first time around, some of the clips that you saw earlier, and since then, to be fair, I've been able to maintain a 4 minute per kilometer pace with less intensity. So that in itself, I think, speaks volumes. So obviously that pace will be relative to yourself, but ultimately you'll have to put less in for more of a return with these shoes. You'll notice very quickly the return that it gives. It's almost a bit more aggressive than previous generations, or at least the generation 1. You do hear it when you're running, but the return that you get with every stride, it feels much more forceful, and as a result you do pick up pace quite quickly. I would try and save them as a result more so for race day or for very intense training runs. I wouldn't use it as a daily driver, just because you want to save the carbon fiber plate inside as much as you can. But in terms of overall performance and speed, it's everything that you're probably expecting and more, so I would definitely recommend. Which one would I recommend the most? I know some of you watching this already have this one. You may even have the generation 2 and you're thinking of going all the way to generation 3. I would say overwhelmingly there isn't a huge difference, but there are subtle differences that I think in the long term will pay off. I feel as if the durability of this shoe will be noticeable in 6 to 12 months time. I think this is going to stand the test of time a little bit more than this one has. I've noticed with the foam on the bottom of the originals that they did degrade quite quickly. Did it impact performance all that much? Probably not, but I did notice the wear and tear on this was quite aggressive. In terms of comfort and usability, again, the tongue is a big thing. Just the elasticity of the the Gen 3 compared to Gen 1 is noticeable. And to be honest, I think in terms of aesthetics, I do prefer the Alphafly 3. Is it going to be a huge difference? Absolutely not. If you know that this shoe works and if you can find another pair online, then A, I'm not envious at all, but B, why change a winning formula? But if you can't get hold of this shoe, this is going to do everything and more. So take your pick. £279. That is how much this shoe cost me. That's a lot of money for a trainer, and I'm very, very aware of that. For me, this time around at least, I've done so because I'm doing the New York City Marathon in a week's time. I've never done a competitive marathon. I've put so much effort into my training over the past 12 weeks, and to be honest, the past 5 years, I've been visualizing this moment for years, and so due to this coming to the end of its cycle, so to speak, I just wanted to leave no stone unturned. So this is going to last me for the foreseeable, and that's why I got it. But would I recommend it to everybody? Absolutely not. If you're somebody who has tunnel vision and you want to really chase down your PB, and there's only a couple of minutes in it, I think investing in this is going to make the difference. To give you an example, I qualified for the New York City Marathon because of a half marathon PB I got in 2022. In the year of 2022, I was averaging a half marathon of around 1 hour 21, and I wanted to get under 1 hour 20. Now, on the day of my PB, it could have been the carb load, it could have been the training, it could have been my sleep, or it could have been my trainers. It could have been these trainers that got me under 1 hour 20 and ultimately got me 1 hour 17. So if you're dealing with those fine margins, I think it's well worth your money. But if you're somebody who is just so passionate about running and loves to do it as much as they can, they love to go to a race day event and to immerse themselves in the atmosphere, and they're not necessarily that competitive, this is a waste of money, it is a waste of your time. You could buy 2 very good pairs of trainers for the same price. This is a small margin. For some people, it's worth every penny as a result, but for most people, you're not going to notice it.